Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the Jackocar Kia Series for the final time here in the Kia Series, Season 8 for round number 7 here for the Mexico Grand Prix. No Gareth Hall tonight. Too much Polish punani on a stag do. He's lost his voice. He's not here. But I am joined, who I should have been joined with for the Belgian Grand Prix for round 2. He's the voice of the Cup Series. It's Owen Wyatt.
Hello, Pete. Hello, viewers. Yes, this time I am indeed Gareth Hall, and yes, it was a very last-minute call to get me in here. So glad we got that sorted in time, because unlike Belgium, where we had days of notice and somehow everyone forgot about me, this time we've arrived, and this must be the first time we've commentated together.
I think it is. I feel like we should have been doing a commentary once before, back in the day, probably the Kia, but it never came about. But I know you're a great commentator, so I'm glad to have you in the box with me.
I'm glad to be here. We're in Mexico tonight. We've had many a good race here in both tiers in the past, so I'm very much looking forward to seeing how the Kia lot get on. This is the first time I've been watching them since the Championship 5 from last season, where Gareth famously decided it'd be a better idea to go on holiday than it would be to participate in the end of season, which I'm surprised Jacko let him get away with. But yes, I was looking at the Championship standings earlier. As you know, in the Cup Series, MK Bourne's rubbish. But seeing him here advance, and apparently he's got 2 wins already this season, so I'm going to have to get used to seeing different names at the top and at the bottom. But look at that, 19 drivers. That's not the Kia Series I know.
Oh, you should have been here last week. There was 20 drivers, full grid last week, and you missed out on some fantastic racing. So hopefully we get the same again here in Mexico. Plenty of overtaking opportunities. We're just about ready to get qualifying underway, whether you're aware or not, Owen, but the qualifying order is a little bit different compared to Cup. Fastest drivers go out first, and people who have the least points in the championship standings go out last. Gives us a little bit of a mix-up, but not the case so far. Ben Howard seems to be the first one out and always on pole position.
Not a surprise, I suppose. We know he's a quick driver. But I do like the idea of the faster drivers going first. I know it's less exciting in terms of the drama, but I mean, track evolution, it's not much in this game, but it is there. And so it's a bit of a Formula E type thing where at least you get a bit of a closer grid, and you can get an upset result. So yeah, I quite like that idea of qualifying. So we'll get to see how that pans out throughout the evening. Jokers tonight. We only have one, don't we? We've got Scott Hayes, so we'll be looking out for him during the night. But I believe we have a car on track.
We do indeed. Mr. Ben Howard's getting ready to go out. We'll get an entire lap for him in his green, purple. I had a little bit of a run-in with him on Thursday night for my Joker. He was on his Joker as well. I was a little bit annoyed, and the fact that it was given as an NFA, I'm a little bit annoyed about. But it's Jackocar. These things tend to happen. I was a little bit annoyed, but is this what?
I was gonna say, is this when I called it on stream that it was nothing that anyone could do about it, and it was actually a very good save in the first place for him not to just to smash you off completely into Narnia. Because I don't know how much of you saw of him, but he was like, that was an accident that didn't happen for him in terms of not being taken out. So I can see why it was an NFA. But yeah, if he does that again here tonight, though, there's no gravel to save him. The car might end up just flying off the road. The gravel sort of pitched him back on. So yes, we'll see. We'll see how he gets on. He should really dominate, though. I'd be disappointed if he doesn't. No pressure, lad.
Yeah, no pressure. I was thinking, as your first time commentating with me, I will let you take us through the lap for Mr. Ben Howard.
Right, let's ride on board while we're at it as we watch the ERS bar on the main straight. You'll notice that green bar is basically not going down. Now, they reckon that on the update on Monday, they broke the CRS bar to the point where it can deploy double the amount of ERS per lap if you're able to. Obviously, if it hits zero, it hits zero. But the point is, you can run an overtake as long as you can possibly manage. Which is unfortunate. I don't think that's meant to happen. But it will give us options throughout the race and obviously lead to some faster qualifying times. So we'll see if anyone employs that sort of extra usage. As Ben Harrett comes through, it looked like a pretty clean first sector. The S section is where the tyres are on the limits, and you don't want to get too much on these curbs because you'll see they're sort of serrated in a way where if you hook your inside tyre on them, it can do that and unsettle the rear. So it's worth keeping an eye on. Some people might just flat out avoid the curbs altogether. Into the final sector, little bits of a lock-up on the way in, but nothing too dramatic. Difficult apex to hit here at the airpin, and you've got to hit it because it sets your run up all the way through the exit of the section. Don't hit the wall on the exit of the final corner, don't drift wide, hug the inside line, and Ben Harrett sets the first time in the night. And like you say, that green bar, that was nowhere close to hitting the bottom. Like I say, that'll be a factor qualifying and the race.
It will indeed, and it'll be all about when people decide to deploy that overtake, and they expect a lot of overtakes with the use of it. Next up, he's down on track, second in the standings, but not through just yet. Jacko to the line, and as per usual, over a second off the pace. Ben Harrett's always a target time to beat, but no one is there to do it just yet.
Rubbish time that was, wasn't it?
He's not good in qualifying.
He needs a new tier of his own. I like the livery on there though. It's a shame we don't have many good liveries on the game, but a nice attempt at a brawn. We'll see Baz's though is better later on. So still there, it's nice that there's some of them are trying. You can see Matt Shepard, he's running just the standard basic livery. Obviously, with Season 3 of the game coming tomorrow, I am desperately hoping they put some good liveries into the Podium Pass for free. But they're not going to. But even in the store, if they could add some liveries that don't cost 15 quid, just give us something to work with here. Because, yeah, it's hurting my brain really as a commentator to see such a lack of creativity from these lot. But it's not the driver's fault. And Faf, I'm surprised Yuri's not going first here. What's happening to him? Because he shouldn't be allowed in this series. He's that good at it.
Yeah, but he's been. They have the confidence to keep the rear facing the right direction. He did win in Belgium. That was just due to his Joker, though. It was pure dumb luck, as they like to call it. He's got a nice red and chrome livery. His qualifying pace hasn't been too bad, but he seems to be catching up in quite a few incidents during the races since he finished in Belgium. He's currently fourth in the standings, but he is already through with that race win and has actually managed to beat Ben Harrett's lap time with a 1:15.2. I am shocked and stunned that Ben Harrett is not on pole position for longer than it has been so far.
Yeah, it's what I expect from Yuri, to be honest, because like I said, when we were last on comms, me and him together, we were talking about it, he's a bit too fast for this series, but it gives him something to do on a Tuesday night, and he's got a bit of competition with Ben, so hopefully we'll be able to see that progress throughout the evening. Here's Daniel coming through to the final sector. I'm liking this livery he's got on there. It's like that sort of purplish blue sort of satin on there, which is quite nice. So again, good to see a little bit of effort on them, but let's see if the lap is as good as the livery. Across the line with about 40% ERS left, he could have pushed that a little bit further, but it got him to third place. He wouldn't have been able to get to second from there. And the problem is, if people haven't been on Twitter or looking at people complaining, they may not even know about the exploits. I say exploits, it's not an exploit, but they might not know about the ERS stuff, so I'd be really interested to see who pushes the envelope on that.
The thing is, there are people complaining, but everyone has the same exploit, so everyone should be able to use it. So yeah, we'll see.
It gives you more. It gives you more sort of freedom to push. I quite like going fast on the game, and it's not the end of the world for me. But I can see why people aren't too happy about it. That's a good time for MK Bourne to go third fastest.
Yeah, not quite beating his ART teammate Ben Harrett. Still on the front row for him. But target time to beat is by Yuri. Maybe he has decided to find his feet. Maybe this new update has sorted him out. Up next, last week's race winner on his Joker in the but he has invalidated. So he will be starting towards the back, last to first. Who knows? It has been done in Jackocar. Never say never. And with a track like Mexico, I understand that tyre degradation can be quite high. So a two-stop is really suggestive. But Scott using his opportunity for being the only joker, anything can happen. He would have done a 15.4. He would have been just behind Ben Howard. It was a 4.57. So he would have been on the second row, but he'll be starting towards the back.
Yeah, it's a shame to see drivers getting their laps wrong, really, especially when there's such a big advantage they can take out of it. And typically, Baza hasn't actually got a Brawn GP livery on. He's instead got a Mild 7 Renault on. So I guess that does mean Jacko now has the best livery for the Brawn. I've got to say, Baza, not bad from him. Round the final corner, it's a slow time, unfortunately. It'll be the slowest we've seen so far, but still, you get some marks from me for the livery and the helmet and probably the gloves. Yeah, he's got everything. He's probably got the race suit as well. Let him win just so we can see him on the podium. I personally think.
Yeah, he did run it last week. Wasn't racing too well. He did manage to get a good finish position in Abu Dhabi. He's on the cusp, though, is Mr. Baza. Only 7 points clear of the drop zone. Only 4 rounds left to go here in the Kia Series before we enter the playoffs. 4 places already secured, 6 still to go. Jacko, Matt Shepherd and Dan Price are pretty much there. They're quite far away from the cutoff. It's all eyes on Baza, Danny and Jess, who are well in the playoffs at the moment, as Quinn to the line, third fastest. Slots himself in between Ben Howard and Mike. That quite good close of lap times. We had that last week in Brazil. We had about 6 or 7 cars within a tenth of each other. So if people can start getting lap times, slotting them in between Ben and Mike, that'd be lovely to see.
Sorry if I've got a bit confused, but when we were watching Harry Collier, were we calling him Scott Hayes?
No, Harry. Why would I call him Scott? I mentioned Scott because he was on the Joker, and because Harry won. Because Harry won the Joker last week in Brazil.
Right. I was going to say, just in case there was any confusion, and I was a bit confused. But no, that makes a bit more sense because obviously Scott goes at the end. He is our only Joker tonight. But yes, okay. Sorry, just wanted to clarify for myself, just in case I'd completely mixed names up. But, no, we're all good. We're all good.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Jess did cross the line, 1:16.2.
Sorry, Jess. I've ruined your qualifying now. Oh dear. Right, let's not ruin anyone else's by my confusion. It's Florian, I believe, next. So let's watch him head through. Haven't actually been paying attention to the sector times, so it's I'm not entirely sure how our benchmark is looking compared to P1.
And I thought you were a professional, Owen.
Well, this is it. Probably why I'm not a professional commentator yet, but it takes time. As round the final corner comes Florian, and he goes up into 5th place, just under half a second off the leading pace. And then we've got Jake Warrior, I believe, after that, heading through the midsection of the track, and that's an interesting set of colours on there. I wonder what's inspired that. Unfortunately, he's invalidated his lap time through the S's, but he was about a second and a half down anyway on where Florian was, so perhaps struggling for a little bit of confidence around here.
Yeah, he's made a return back to Jackocar and back in the Kia Series. He was a Championship 5 contender last time he raced, so keep an eye out on him. He was having a good season. He currently sits 2 points off the playoffs, whether he wants to go for the chase, whether there's plenty of sandbags out there wanting to run a chase campaign. I love the use of the chase because it just allows drivers to have a pick. Do they want to be in the chase or do they want to be in the playoffs? I don't know for you, but I've got Jake jumping all over the shot on my screen, whether that's my internet or not. Can you hear me clearly, Owen?
I can hear you clearly. I've got Matt Lester.
Matt Lester, sorry.
I don't know if he's about to disconnect, but he's about to finish his lap time, we can say that much. Although the timing and that's all over the show, because the game said he was finishing at 1 minute 13. Now it's updated to 1 minute 16. was gonna say that's he's missed a corner somewhere there, but no, that's P10 for Matt Lester. I think that might just be a him problem. As we see, where is he? Jamie Griffiths next in. Again, it's whenever he's running the Cup Series. Big fan of this one still. It's one of the only creative ones EA have put in the game, sadly. And I am going to blame this on EA rather than Codemasters. I believe in Codemasters still. Maybe that's a bad move, but I don't know. Here comes Jamie, and again, it looks a quick lap time. He's a Cup Series driver, you'd expect that. And he goes up to second place, just behind Yuri, the top three, or top four now, all separated by just under 0.2 of a second.
I think the worst part about that lap is he had a really poor exit just before the penultimate corner. And I think that lost him the time. Only 20 thousandths of a second off nicking pole position. I think we're very disappointed that he didn't nick it. It is a bonus playoff point at the end of the day if you get pole position. But last season's champion, Mr. Sullivan Lewis, back from his hollybobs, only goes third. Very close as well. Slots himself in between Ben Howard. He's now off the front row. Might get knocked off the second row. He's been sandbagging a little bit. Is he looking for a chase campaign for an easy run into the Championship 5 to make it the first ever back-to-back champion in Jackocar, both Kia and Cup Series? That's why I like Jackocar. You never know who's going to win a race, really, and you never know who's going to win the championship until the final few laps.
But we do know Pete Knighton's going to win neither.
Oh, cheers, mate. Thanks for that. I'm just going to disconnect and go jump out my window. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. Speaking of never going to win, here is Michael O'Kk. There was a brief period where we thought he was going to win, and there was a very, very exciting moment in the Championship 5 in Italy where me and Yuri were getting very excited about this man winning, but he's only gone P8 sadly here. Is he ever going to win a race again, do you think? Because it's taking too long now. You know, in Jackocar terms, he's not won a race since lockdown, for goodness sake. Again, not to bring it back home.
Not to stab me in the belt as well.
But,
the pain. So much pain.
But we're getting to that point, sadly, where we're still waiting for the old ones to come and start winning again. But, oh dear. One day you'll win again, perhaps, maybe. Now, this is a bit odd. I don't know how many times we've actually seen this happen. Hope... Actually, no. Wait. Is Fozzie Bear next on the list?
He is indeed. It's Dustin.
Yeah. Running OKK's livery. Except he's maybe taking the white bits off. But it's very rare to actually see near identical liveries in Jackocar. Might be in the rules you can't do it. I know the speed guys usually ran similar liveries for a while, but you had your own unique colour, didn't you? But those two might get a bit confusing as the night goes on. But yeah, I suppose if you're looking at Dustin, he's lacking the white trim on the livery, if you can spot it. As he goes 15th though, nowhere near Michael, so perhaps you won't see them together. I don't know, but it's just worth pointing out.
Yeah, Dustin's been a little bit MIA since he had his Joker in Monaco. He did have a little accident into either the swimming pool or Raskas where he ended his race and hasn't really been there since. Maybe looking for a strong chase campaign. Not many races to go, as mentioned. Only 3 more after tonight before we head into the playoff season. Longest Kia season there has ever been, I think, for this final season. 10 races for the regular season, and then I believe 6 for the fight in the playoffs, and then 1 more to round out the Kia series, all the way in the Super Speedway, funnily enough, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I feel like the Cup Series missed a trick there, not going to the Super Speedway for the finale, but I might have to hop in the comedy box for that one. That sounds like good fun. We'll have to make it a three-man job. But here comes Robin around the final corner. It's track's clouding over quite a bit. Perhaps the track temperature might go down a little bit as Robin goes 8th fastest. It could help Scott Hayes on his Joker lap, and well, he'd love to stick this on pole, wouldn't he?
I don't think he's got the pace though. Even though he's had the game for quite a while, probably not been putting enough laps in that you'd probably want.
He's quite slow actually, isn't he?
Yeah.
That middle sector's nowhere near the pace. He's absolutely abused the curve on the way into the stadium as well. And he's completely ignored the hairpin.
Yeah, he hasn't really got himself familiarised. He's got a lovely livery though. I'll rate the black and pink as he runs wide out the final corner. Oh no. Up to the line, a 16.5. 13th on the grid. funnily enough, only 2 drivers unable to keep it within the white lines. It was the same in Brazil. A lot of drivers are managing to keep it within track limits. We'll see what happens during the race though, because there'll be a lot of laps and people will be pushing hard, heavier cars with a lot of fuel, longer distances to drive. See if people can keep it within the white lines, because it can be all done on penalties. We've seen it before. We might see it tonight. Will we see a new winner? That's all of qualifying for now. It's Yuri on pole position. Oh my God, I'm saying a different name that's on pole position. And Ben Harrett all the way down in P4. Jamie Griffiths in second. Sully's third. Quinn rounds out the top 5. Then you got Mike, Florian, Robin, Michael, and Jess in the top 10. Dan, Matt Shepherd, Scott, your only joker. Jacko down in 14th, having gone out really early. As I said, he doesn't really have the pace in qualifying anymore. Not really up there. He can always seem to find himself up there during the race, but he needs to keep his front wing intact and maybe not murder Florian like he had done in Belgium and like he tried to do in Brazil. Then it's Matt Lester, Bazza, Dustin rounds out the drivers who have set a lap time. Harry Collier and Jake round out the back of the grid for the only drivers that haven't set a lap time.
Brilliantly done. That's that's our qualifying. And it's good to see that top 5 are all close. It is a bit of a shame to see that the top 6 are all Cup Series drivers. I know that's what we expect when we're in the Kia Series, and we're winding down. But I'll be rooting for Florian to try and get through the grid a little bit, and try and sort of break up the guys that are clearly a bit insecure about their performances on Thursdays, obviously. But still, though, at least it's close between them. Under 2/10 between that top 5. So hopefully, if they're that close during the race, we'll be in for an exciting one. Because again, like I say, more scope to use, more ERS at any given moment. Because I mean, through the S section, you can always whack it onto none. Do you know what I mean? And then just blow it all up on the main straight. There's tactics here, and they'll be employed, because a lot of these guys will be coming back here for the Cup Series in a few. Well, probably a couple of months' time, actually. We're a long way from being here in the Cup Series, but it's a good scouting mission, isn't it? Which is, again, sad to say for the second series, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, and we know Gareth loves Mexico. He loves it in the Cup Series. That's probably why he's not here.
Maybe why he's not here, yeah. doesn't really compute with him, really, so, yeah. I still think he won't make it as far as that, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how he gets on. How do you feel the Cup Series is going? Because I said this last week to Jess in commentary, that it's the most oddly close sort of scrap for that 10th place of the championship. Look, there's a good sort of 8, maybe not, 7 or 8 of you who could realistically still get in there. And I don't remember it being as close as that. Like, you can get into I don't remember the last time you got playoffs, but I feel like it's been quite a while. But you're there at the minute.
Yeah, I am there. I actually did want to go through the playoffs because I've tried to do the chase. It hasn't worked out. I might try the playoffs. I've been trying to get good results. I've just been really unlucky with getting involved in incidents that are nothing to do with me. So, and we won't talk about Monaco because I was in a position that I'd never dreamed of being in at Monaco, and then I just threw it all away.
Yeah, let's not talk about that then. We'll pretend Monaco never happened. But here's one thing we haven't done yet, which I've just remembered. We have our own club card shootout here, don't we? In the Kia series, for some reason. I mean, it's good. It's good marketing. I mean, Tesco meal deals. They're not £3 anymore, I don't think. But
no, they've gone up again.
They've gone up again. So
yeah, they're now £3. Well, with a club card, it's £3.60 now. It was £3.40. I do remember when it was £3. I should know because I had one today.
Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs. But hey, look, they're still here. They're sponsoring the Kias. They have no idea who we are, but I'd love to see like the emails that Jacko sends and being like, "Can we use you for our racing series? We're not going to say anything bad about you." Oh, I've just said loads of bad things about Tesco.
Oh no! Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, they might not.
Bye the club card shootout. No, it's just a shootout.
Yeah. Yeah, they might not let me park in their car parks anymore to do my IKEA click and collect, but we'll see. I'm on the road to bar, so I'm staying far away from Tesco's. But interesting choice of tyres. Only 2 drivers decided to choose the softs. Danny Quinn and Bazza on the softs. Three opting for the hards. No surprise from Scott. He's probably going for a hard to medium run. Jacko choosing hards. He's done it a few times before. He does need to keep his nose clean, otherwise it's a waste of the choice of tyre he's choosing. Matt Lester behind him as well on hards, and everyone else, no surprises really, going for the mediums. You mentioned the Tesco Club Card shootout, so keep an eye out. It'll be Dan Price versus Scott, Mike versus Robin, Harry versus Michelle. Well, Harry's got a bye because Michelle's not here. Bazza versus, I believe that's Florian. Danny Quinn versus Michael. Jess versus Sully. No, it's Florian versus Jamie. Who's Rolco? No, it's Dustin, I think.
That's Dustin.
That is Dustin. So Fuzzy Bear. Bazza versus Dustin. Florian versus Jamie. And Jake versus Matt Lester. Those are the drivers fighting it out for the first round of the Tesco Club Card here in the Kia Series. Keep an eye out for Quinn. He has got some decent pace. He just needs to keep his head. Shock, he never does. I won't be surprised if he does retire in the pits. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
I mean, we're on the verge of a league ban if he keeps doing that, to be fair. I find his exploits in Imola last week in the Cup Series to be particularly impressive. The thing is, I know he got in trouble for it, but I genuinely think just driving into the pit wall might be the funniest way to just get yourself knocked out of a race. Because, he wasn't even having a bad race. He just decided to drive into the pit wall. So, yeah. It's a great pit wall here to drive into in Mexico. So, we'll keep an eye out for that. But hopefully, as you say, he keeps his head. But, yeah. Hopefully I win the lottery tonight. Do you know what I mean? So...
Oh, if you do, I'd love some of that.
Yeah. I think a lot of people will probably... Oh, you're my favourite commentator, Raf. You always have been. But anyway, this ain't my domain here. I'll let you do the start.
Yeah, Gareth Hall refuses to say the famous words. But here we are in the Kia Series. 5 red lights. It's boogity, boogity, boogie. Let's go racing as a long run down towards turn 1. A very good start from Yuri and Jamie. The front four all holding position, but all the way into the slipstream. Down towards turn 1. We're going to be 5 wide nearly into the braking zone. Nice, keep it nice and clean. Yuri will have the inside for turn 1, but he's lost out. Ben Harrett, and there's contact, and he's into the wall with Yuri. Risky takes the lead, and we've got a virtual safety car already.
That was very posh of me. Oh my! But yes, that was a really good battle through turn 1 and 2 from Ben Harrett and Yuri. But on the exit, they just sort of locked wheels. It's a bit like the side pod glitch in a way. They just sort of glued themselves together, and sadly, they drove each other into the wall, and that broke Yuri's front wing. And there was another car in the wall there as well. I'm trying to see what's happened to Ben. I can't honestly see a front wing on that car, but there isn't one. Someone else hit the wall. I'm trying to remember who it was, but anyway, someone was off in Narnia. I was trying to see if it was Scott Hayes, but if it was, he's survived it. But yes, the VSC has just ended actually, so we're back underway. I'm surprised that's not a full safety car, but Scott Hayes is now under a lot of pressure because he maybe wasn't quite expecting that restart. He's on the hards as well. We'll be keeping an eye on him. He is the Joker man. He's going to be going far into this. But at the end of that one, it's Risky who leads the race.
It is indeed. He hasn't managed to pull away just yet. He's got Jamie Griffiths right behind him, hunting him down. He's got Mike within the tow as well. And Quinn, they've pulled a little bit of a gap to the rest of the field outside the top 4. As we saw in Brazil, the top 4 steamed away and were swapping positions left, right and centre. No one knew who was going to win that race, and hopefully we'll get the same here. What can Florian do? He's not very good on the first couple of laps. He doesn't seem to be able to find his feet. He has already lost 1.5 seconds to this lead driver's DRS has already been enabled as it is at the end of lap 1. 2 DRS zones here in Mexico, one down that long pit straight and the other one coming up at the end of this XS section on those soft tyres. Not sure how long they'll last. If anything like any other tracks, the softs are a pretty poor tyre to be on. He'll probably be starting very early on. Maybe want to get an early safety car underway. I think that's what drivers do if they want to start on the softs. Try and get a good start, and if there is an early safety car, take the optimal use of that safety car pit stop. You only get one mandatory under safety car, and hopefully you can then run to the end of the race on two sets of mediums. But big shout out to Matt Lester. He's already up to 9th place on those hard tyres. Scott not making any moves, and Jacko still down in 14th.
Here comes Jamie Griffiths looking for the lead of the race. We have 2 stages tonight as always. First one's on lap 5, so this is what these guys are fighting for. And side by side there's more wheel to wheel contact, a bit similar to what Ben Harrett and Yuri did through to turn 1 and 2, but the rear end on Jamie's car has been all over the show for the last lap and a half, and he's now got a penalty for exceeding track limits. He's going to try and take the lead back anyway. If you lead it across the line at the end of lap 5, you still get those playoff points. But there's more contact and good defending from Risky Racers to keep ahead. MK Borney thought about getting involved. Quinn, he needs to get involved. He's on loose sauce. The whole point of that, I'm sure, is to get into the lead by the end of lap 5 and pick up that playoff point. You've got 3 DRS zones to make it happen. And if they keep fighting at that ahead, I mean, he saved his DRS quite well, as has MK Borney. So they can attack. If Jamie especially keeps struggling, because if he keeps going for the moves and then losing the rear end, it'll slow this whole field down.
Yeah, it was a bit of an outrageous lunge on the run down towards
he's
him.
through.
Oh.
That's some DRS chicken right there. Risky decides he wants it on the way to turn 1, and Jamie, he was happy to take the lead. No one's pitting at the end of this lap. It makes no sense until the end of lap 5, but the pit window is now open.
It is indeed. That was very close to... I was on board with Mike, and I was just looking at the gaps between them, and he nearly ran into the back of these two, trying to play DRS chicken. Sully then retakes the lead, but watch out for Mike. Will he go for late brakes on the inside of Sully? He gets Jamie, but these two ahead of Jamie now are going to get DRS again. It's a double DRS zone. We're only on 1 activation point. We'll see if Quinn can get anywhere close behind. He's not. He's still stuck in Narnia. But with this battling and DRS chicken, Florian's managed to drag himself back into it. So now into a 5-car fight for the race, for the net race lead.
Disappointingly, Quinn hasn't been able to get involved. So on those softs, I guess he'll have wanted to be leading the race, but it needs quite a lot to happen now. And as you say, Florian's involved, and he actually looks very much like he's about to pass. And on the softs, perhaps they've already gone off. They really don't last long around here. So yeah, we'll keep our eye on that. But at the front, let's see what happens at the hairpin. It looks like Risky's got a decent gap. No real point pulling over for anyone. In fact, he might just get out of DRS range. Not quite. But, oh, that's a bit wide from Mike. And a big slide from him too. That'll be Risky off down the road, surely. Let's see. Yeah,
we'll see. Slipstream's very potent, and with the benefit of DRS and the use of the overtake button. But I believe Mike seems to have run out of battery. He's not going to be challenging Sully down towards turn 1. So I think Sully will be keeping and holding on to the lead. What he's got to do now he's not under threat. He's got to use the benefit of the middle sector to try and pull that 1 second gap. Quinn now has made a huge mistake, I believe. He's now 1.7 seconds off this and has now been overtaken by Florian for P4. He's now dropping down the order. I really think these soft tyres have gone off. We know in the past the soft tyres are not great around Mexico, and we know with the way F124 is, the soft tyres are just a really poor tyre in general. You don't really want to be on them for long, especially with a heavy fuel. They're usually a set of tyres that you go on towards the end when you've got a lighter car.
It's a tyre that I agree with. You almost want to entirely avoid unless you have a safety car with like 5 to go. That's a car sliding off and spinning. That's Matt Lester, lucky to keep that out of the wall. But yes, Baza was falling down the same way Quinn was, so I do think the tyres are gone. Playoff point goes to our reigning champion, Risky. He still has MK Bourne behind him on DRS, and unsurprisingly, Quinn has come into the pits. So that's the first playoff point. Second stage is at the end of lap 20, so we'll keep our eye on that one as Quinn puts the hard compound tyres on. Baza has actually stayed out, so he seems happy enough on the tyre. Still got all 19 drivers in this race. Yuri waited a while to pit, and now he's a good 40 seconds off the back of Quinn. Well, 45, nearly 50 actually. I mean, Ben Harrett's 40 himself off Quinn, so they're both having a really bad day at the moment, unfortunately for them. Update on Scott. He is currently 16.6 seconds off the lead, so any big result he may be hoping to get on this Joker is already looking like it needs a safety car really to help him achieve that, because down in 13, miles off anyone at the front. Joker's not always about winning. It's, you know, if you're not a driver, it's expecting to win races. If he can get himself well into the top 10, it's still a good result. But yeah, he's probably not going to factor near the front, unfortunately.
Not indeed. Yeah. Oh, and Sully
Oh,
loses the
and
back end on the exit of the final corner, essentially. Nearly squares himself into the pit lane. Will he decide to box? I don't think he picked up any damage, but that essentially
front
gifts
right end plate win.
Mike here to the lead. He's now got a lot of breathing space from the cars behind. Not only that, he got the benefit of DRS. He's going to get a double dose of DRS with no challenge ahead, no challenge from behind. Mike might be back on form yet again, but we've got to keep an eye on for this battle for second place. Florian now already up to second with that spin from Sully. He got the move done on Jamie in towards turn one and is now going to be on the charge of Mike. What the? Okay, never mind.
At least he got the playoff point there. Risky, but yeah, losing it on the rear traction. We were seeing it on Jamie's onboard earlier, or at least I did on his onboard. It was looking very shaky indeed. A lot of them seem to be struggling around here to set us very much on the edge here. And I tell you what, he has spun this time as Jamie. It was going to happen, and out of the race he goes. He's been struggling all race, and safety car is out for the first time today. That'll help Risky get back into the shape of things. But they're really struggling on these mediums at the moment, and yeah, more spins may happen. But surely, if you are MK, well, actually, do you pit? I mean, is it too? Well, no, you've got to take advantage, haven't you, of the safety car and just get the piss up out of the way and make your second stop later on. I wouldn't at all be surprised to see Scott Hayes obviously staying out because he's on the hards. That's very much for the long game. We'll see where he blends after that. If he can lead the race, that would be fantastic. Michael Okeke has stayed out, so it's actually more of can he be second, but you can see NK Bourne leaving the pits in front of him. Florian as well. Although saying that, getting up to speed quickly, yeah, he'll be net third then. Michael Okeke and Matt Lester, the only two to stay out of the front guys. Jake Warrior, Harry Collier as well, staying out.
Yeah, I expect Scott to take these hards quite a long way. Obviously, everyone who's now already boxed onto a set of hard tyres has to now go all the way to the end of 21 if they want to get their second mandatory stop out the way. With the benefit of the safety car, this really does help Scott because he was quite far down the order. He's now elevated himself up to 5th. As you said, he's in net P3. If he can stay there throughout the Grand Prix, that's going to be a fantastic result for him. But he's going to have to wait and probably get a safety car come out around lap, what would you say, lap 18, 19, for him to get the benefit and then be in a good position, because there's a lot of drivers that can still box onto safety car, but everyone pretty much around him has used their safety car stop.
Yeah, it's interesting really, because when I don't know really, it depends what more it might genuinely just depend on what more safety cars come out throughout the race. I was surprised to see how much people were struggling on those mediums, so it's not a surprise to see loads go on the hards. But there's potential for more of these safety cars to shake it up, so that's really what they'll all be waiting on, I think, including obviously Scott on that Joker. So, you know, we'll see what the best move is. But I don't know. It's just why I don't race anymore. I don't know. I just guess.
Yeah, Jacko, interestingly, came off those hard tyres. He's now on. It's quite a way, a lot longer than anyone else has tried to do with the mediums. One retirement so far, the reason why we've got the safety car out. He's pretty much done what... Oh, he's done a Jamie thing, hasn't he? Jamie Wright loves crashing in the S section, losing the back end through there. So he's just following his fellow Jamie in the middle sector. But safety cars breed safety cars. This is also Jackocar. Ben Harriott has taken an extra pit stop as well. He was already at the back of the grid. Gone into a fresh set of mediums. This is going to help them too. With that incident on lap 1, they've brought themselves back into it, closed themselves back up. So we've got to keep an eye on those. Essentially, I'd say the two fastest drivers on the grid are those two. The third fastest is already out, but Mike as well is going to be in the hunt for this. He's going to have to get by Matt Lester and Michael quick as possible, because Florian, I feel like he's got some pace, and now he's within that 1 second. Is going to be a challenge.
Yes. I definitely would be agreeing on that one. I'm trying to see who else is actually a threat of it. I'm wondering what Ben Harrett's strategy is. I know he's right at the very back, but we know he's quick, don't we? So he's in a nightmare of a race, him and Yuri. But this has moved those two from 50 seconds off the pack to on the pack. So I wonder if they'll be able to make anything happen. Or maybe I might underestimate the rest of the Kia Series drivers when I say that.
Don't underestimate them. We know what they're like. Although it is supposed to be an all-star with the introduction of a lot of, we'd say, the slower Cup Series drivers, but they've all won races in the Cup as well, so I wouldn't really call them slow. They're just little bit. No. They're a little bit inconsistent.
Yeah, inconsistent's a good word. But well, hopefully we'll see some consistent speed. It feels like the safety car's been out for ages, doesn't it? Did it go out for an extra lap?
I feel like it did. I'm waiting for Ben to join up to the back of the pack. Maybe he did the little bit of a sneaky and held back a little bit to make it go for an extra lap. But this is just benefiting Michael. He's getting laps led under his belt. He's claimed his a playoff point for himself for leading a lap. You get playoff points for not only leading a lap. If you lead the most laps, you get a playoff point. You cross the finish line at the end of the first stage, you get a playoff point. Cross the finish line in first at the end of stage 2, get a playoff point. Playoff point for fastest lap, pole position, and I think that might be it. Oh, and a podium, and you get 5 for winning the race. And 10 if you win the race as a joker, which is what Harry Collier did last week. And hopefully be able to see Scott do it. We're not sure just yet. We're only 10 laps into this, still 26 more laps to go. Anything can happen. Any one of these drivers is still within the right mind to win this race. We've just got to keep an eye on the fast drivers that are at the back.
I don't know if we mentioned it already. Well, not that they care. I don't... Well, maybe they do. I don't know if they care about the club quite should have. But obviously with Jamie Griffiths retiring now, that does advance Florian through that round because that's who he was against. So, just in case, you know, they weren't paying attention to it. That's then done. But the safety car is coming in. We're looking for some action here on the restart.
We are indeed. Long run down towards turn 1. So Michael's really going to want to get a good jump here. He's got Matt Lester and a whole train of cars behind him that are going to be just taking his slipstream on the run down towards turn 1. He can go pretty much at any point where the red curb starts now, because it's such an early start to the finish line. He might leave it as late as possible. He does indeed. And we're back underway here in the Kia Series for the Mexican Grand Prix. And already a move for Jake on Scott, but they're still side by side. Scott, I think, has got a little bit of better straight line speed, retakes that 5th position, but here comes Quinn. He's going to overtake 1, 2, 3 cars all the way up to 5th place. Leon on the brakes, down the inside, gets the position, but no change up front.
I tell you what, that was a humongous lock-up from OKK into turn 1. I was convinced he wasn't going to make the corner. That's incredible. But he keeps on leading on ahead of Matt Lester. A bit of fighting in the midfield. You've got Jake Warrior up the inside of Daniel there, and he's also got, being barged out of the way there by Robin. And I'm looking at the back because I'm just trying to see if Yuri and Risky and Ben Harrett are making moves. It's one of those good ones, really, where you've got the faster guys all coming through the back. So it should be quite exciting, this. As we see MK Bourne, followed by Florian, followed by Quinn, all lined in the back of Matt Lester. That's an accident waiting to happen if they aren't careful, because they've got to be patient here.
There nearly was an accident in the braking zone. I think Quinn had to avoid the back of Florian at the end of that DRS straight. No DRS just yet. It'll be activated this lap, but Michael's done a stellar job. He's nearly managed to break away. I don't think Matt Lester's going to get DRS here because it's not going to be activated just yet. But if Michael can keep this pace up, he might be able to pull away and keep him out of DRS. But I don't think he's got the straight line speed at the moment, because that 1 second gap is already down to half a second. But it's a train again. The top 4, Quinn now wanting him to get in this overtake between Matt Shepherd and Scott further back. And Matt Shepherd gets through on him. But Scott's falling down the order on those older hard tyres. We might have a change here for second place. Mike up the inside into turn 4. But it's going to leave Matt Lester to the inside. A little bit of contact between the two as Matt Lester fighting back. He does indeed. Keeps hold of the position. Scott now, I think, has made a huge mistake. He's the reason we've got a yellow flag, and he's all the way down to the back.
And he spins as well, trying to recover back onto the track. I don't know if he had contact with someone. I feel like Bazza, has he got damage? Bazza has got damage. I don't know if they've come together. But yeah, Scott crawling around the back, he's not a happy bunny, and that's not going to help Joker any more than he was already struggling with. But I tell you what, OKK must be loving this. Look at the train here, from second all the way down to ninth, as OKK pits and decides actually he'd rather take advantage. And do you know what? While Matt Lester's holding these guys up, he may well get an advantage from the undercut. Although, of course, most of the field, of course, didn't even... they all pitted, didn't they, during that safety car? But let's see how many people get past Matt Lester here.
He's been absolutely swarmed.
Now we can see Florian side by side with MK Bourne for the lead of the race. I would have thought MK Bourne would be able to hold that, and he does. All of these guys are going to get DRS on the way down towards the next heavy braking zone, though. So let's see. Can Florian do anything? Is he going to just hold it out for another lap? He is indeed. Quinn on the back of that as well. Big move at the inside then from Matt Shepherd. He breaks his front wing on the side of Lesty's car. That was it was a fair enough move, but obviously risky for him to do, and he's taking a damage as a result of it. Quinn had a look at Florian but couldn't find a way through, and MK Bourne, he may well pull out a DRS if he's lucky, but he's just going to miss out, I think.
Yeah, no dirty area from what we know. That would really be a killer through this S section. Yeah, DRS for all the drivers inside the top four. Yeah, I think that's a really poor move there from Matt Shepherd, giving himself that damage. With that damage, he's going to cause understeer. He's gone for a late lunge on Matt Lester again. Contact yet again between the pair of them. And Matt Lester's just not giving up. He was really strong on his defence, was Matt. I have loved it between Mike. But he's just going to keep getting swarmed. He's not got any battery. And that's position lost. Another 2, might even be 3, 4. Who knows how many Matt Lester's going to lose on the run down towards turn 1. That's the problem when you don't get DRS. You're just going to get absolutely swarmed.
No, up at the front, 4.5 tenths there between MK Bourne and Florian. As off the road goes Matt Shepherd. That could be another safety car in this race. Let's look out for it. Yep, safety car out. By the time that safety car had come out, Risky had moved up to 7th, Yuri 9th, and Ben Harrett 11th. And now they're going to get to close right up again. This is working out very nicely for them. But good stuff from MK Bourne to get himself into the lead in the few laps of green that we had there. And it's a shame to see Matt in the wall there, but again, struggling on the traction.
He is indeed. Where is Matt in all of this? Looking at the standings, he's not going to be too disappointed. 28 points clear of the drop zone, so I think he's pretty safe. He's got 5 playoff points, which is going to help a little bit towards his playoff campaign. But as I mentioned before, safety cars breeds. Really benefiting is Scott. He did have that little mare. I'm not sure whether he picked up any damage. He is down in 14th, but yet again he's going to be able to close back up. Will we see anybody into the box? You always got 10 lap old hards. It is a free pit stop if you've already made your mandatory. Leslie does decide to make his first pit stop. He's going to get off those hard tyres. Only 4 or 5 laps to go until the end of stage 1, the start of stage 2. He does go on to a set of mediums. He's going to have to be careful though, because if another safety car comes out, by the time those mediums are worn out and want to be put in another set of mediums, it's really going to screw him over.
Yeah, we'll need to see how that all pans out, but I'm just trying to work out what's happening, because a lot of people are pitting here, but not, Bazza, for instance, is pitted for the hards. He's not going to go to the end on those, so why not stick, I don't know, softs or something on? Just get to that second stage. Some odd sort of decisions there. A lot of people, maybe the hards doing things these guys can drive on. I don't know, but we didn't mention it while it was happening. But Jake Warrior nearly put that safety car out himself, because going for the S's, he got it a little bit wrong. He found Jamie Wright's wall, and I don't know how he didn't get himself knocked out of the race. He also then decided to drive back across OKK and nearly take him out. Yeah, that was before Matt Shepherd went off. So well, I hadn't missed that, so tough luck, I suppose. But yeah, that's just a bit of housekeeping. That's what else has been happening. That's why he's at the back and so far off.
Yeah, the only problem with this safety car and the lap it's decided to come out, Scott really can't box now to go on a set of mediums. If he'd started on mediums, now lap to box onto a set of hards. And that's the problem nowadays. If you want to do a Joker and you decide to, you got a choice of 2 tyres, you choose the wrong one, you're pretty much screwed if a safety car comes out at the wrong moment. We could get another one, and that will only screw the drivers that have made a mandatory under a safety car, and puts him in a prime position to get a good result. But he is down in 12th. He has picked up a time penalty. Only 2 drivers have picked up one. One of them, a third driver, has already retired, so it's not really going to matter. That was Jamie. He was the first person. So we got Matt Lester and Scott. If there is a late safety car, that really does hurt you. We've seen drivers swapping up and down positions because they've had a lot of track limit penalties. They could have been in first place and end up finishing in 10th.
Yeah, we see it happen so often, don't we? Especially around here. I remember when we had it was Kieran's first win back in season 5 of the Cup Series, and we ended up having a 5-car scrap to the finish. It was a wet race. It went to dry right at the end, but I think Kieran was like third or fourth car across the line, and he finished about 15 seconds after the guy who actually crossed the line first. I forget who it was. It might have been Jamie Griffiths on the day. But it was the penalties that was doing it, and so it's one of the worst offenders for it. And it's not a surprise. I mean, this air section's practically flat out. If you just take too much of a curve and end up a little bit wide, or just flat out just cut the curves, the warnings will come. You can pick up a 3-second penalty per lap through there if you're unlucky enough. So yeah, you're right. It can absolutely mess your race up. So it's worth keeping an eye on. I'm amazed only 2 have penalties. It's just a shame that one of those is the Joker. And look at that. Well, he didn't say it, but OKK, well, you might have seen it. He had to get right out of the way of Scott there. He rammed into him. Scott, though, does have damage anyway, so it's not exactly going well. But another restart.
Yeah, Mike, to take us through this restart. The end of lap 16, start of lap 17. He's got Florian, and Florian was left in the dust on that restart. He might get jumped here by Quinn. Quinn's using the battery. He's got the slipstream. He's going to pull to the right-hand side. He's going to get a little bit of a tow with a helping hand of Mike up ahead. I think that's position sealed and sorted for Danny. Further behind, Sullivan swapping positions between the top 4, side by side between him and Dan. He's up to P5 as Sully. Keep an eye on him. And also, don't forget, we've got Jacko and Ben Harriet on those medium tyres. There's done quite a few of them under safety cars, so they might still be fresh. Speaking of which, they're swapping positions. And Michael as well on those fresh hard tyres, having boxed outside of the safety car, in between the 2 of them, on 4-lap old hards. I think he's going to be flying at the moment. If he's got the pace he had on that first restart and keep it nice and clean, I wouldn't discount him for a race win here.
Well, he's been watching the guys ahead of him, make coming through the pack look easy. Dustin there really got in Ben Harrett's way because he was very much on the back of Yuri, but Yuri had a hard enough time passing him anyway. But yeah, Ben could have been right on or even past. But no, he's still got Justin in between himself and the man in 7th place. Where else is he risking? He's up to 5th place. He's having a fantastic comeback after hitting the wall. And DRS is now enabled, but I don't think Sullivan is going to need to get this done with DRS. He's got more than a straight line speed, I would have thought, and grip, and confidence, and just talent. Can I say that? I mean, you can't.
He'll love that. He'll love that if you said talent.
Yeah. But in general, the point is he knows what he's doing a bit better, and he led the race for a reason. Just as long as he doesn't stick it in the wall this time. But through he goes into 4th place. And let's see, Robin is going to fight back, but I think he's going to have to cede the position. It's a good battle, this, actually, but it's halting Risky's progress of getting towards the DRS of Robin. He's just past Robin, of Florian, because he's now 1.4 behind. Ben Harrett did get past Dustin, so that's a big move for him, because it means he can follow the now struggling Yuri. Because look at that, all the way back at Daniel. It's just clear the pace difference, isn't it? Because Yuri's having to drive lines I've never seen before, just to avoid getting himself into an accident where he rear ends the car in front. But it's invited Ben Hart right onto his rear once again.
Yeah, he might get a change for 2nd place. Mike has decided to fly away Danny Quinn weaving across the track. Oh, speed going left and right. In the DRS then, slipstream, no battery usage at the end of this straight for Quinn. He defends the inside, no move there for Florian. Yuri then decides to get the inside down on Dan for P6. Ben Harriet doesn't manage to follow him through.
He's gone off.
Oh, speak of the devil.
He's he's hit, I think he hit the curb too hard in turn 1 and lost the rear as Florian does get through there into second place ahead of Quinn. Or they were fighting anyway. Well, he's ahead, is Florian, but I thought Quinn was going to come back at him, but he didn't actually. But yeah, do you know what's happened there? Ben Hart has seen Yuri get through Daniel. He's just he hasn't exactly tried to follow him through, but he knew he had to stay one car behind. But I don't know, we must have just pushed a bit too hard. Gives Yuri a chance to break away on his own now though, because he's got a few cars between himself and his rival.
He has indeed. He has got the oldest tyres though of everyone on track. As Yuri, as we got yellow flag. Oh, speak of the. Oh my God!
I tell you
speak
what,
of the devil.
Terrible lap for both of them there because, they must have just been slightly overdriving it, both of them, just to catch up. There's still, half the race to go. But what this means is that we're going to finish stage 2 under safety car at the end of this lap, and then on lap 21, anyone who hasn't made a safety car stop can make one. And it could be their final stop. Obviously, Scott, he can make a stop whenever he wants, but he's last, unfortunately. His Joker advantage is completely gone now, because the second that pit lane opens again, well, everyone can pit whenever they want anyway, so... it's a shame. He's got that front wing damage, and maybe he's got more damage on top of that. His car is all sort of muddied up, isn't it? So it could well have more damage that we don't know about. But... yeah, 3 cars gone, 2 of them favourites for the podium in Yuri and Jamie Griffiths, so shakes up a little bit, and here's what I was saying about Dustin and Okoke, by the way. Look how similar those 2 cars are, for goodness sake. What? Who let that happen? Jacko, sort it. Can't be having that. I bet he's confused, and he's looking at him, he can't believe it. As he sits in P9, the highest man on the mediums. This is where we've got to somehow figure out who hasn't... Well, no, we know OKK hasn't made a safety car stop yet. I'd expect him to take advantage of that. Harry Collier definitely, and Matt Lester.
And Ben Harriet didn't. His first mandatory was not a safety car stop for Ben, because he boxed at because he had no front wing. He had to stay out until the end of lap 3. So he's definitely still got one that I'm aware of. That's mandatory. So he might box
good point.
At the end of 21.
Good point. Yeah, I forget that he had that. That's a really good point that you're making there. Yes.
But I am surprised.
It's raining. Oh, it's raining. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
They're all gonna... Well, do you know that sort of solves that then? The guys who can pit under the safety car might well do so for some cheeky intermediates, and the rest are gonna have to survive a restart on. Ooh. I didn't see this coming. Maybe it's a good thing I'm not in the Kia Series chat. This is going to shake the race up. Playoff point, housekeeping. It went to MK Bowen, but we've got 16 laps to go here, and the rain has started to fall.
Yeah, but will it be enough? You saw the Belgian Grand Prix in the Cup Series this season, where it did start to rain, and it wasn't quite ready for the intermediates. I took the risk going on intermediates, and I really did regret it. I should have gone on to the softs and gone on them to the end. That's probably why Scott hasn't decided to box. Usually, because I'm not lead commentator, and on my steering wheel I have a screen that tells me the weather, I usually have a little look.
Oh, so what does it on your steering wheel?
Yes, I can look at the weather and see when rain might come and how much, and I get all my data. Yeah, that's what a lot of drivers say in the Cup chat. We're a little bit of cheats, but we do what we want in speed.
Apart from one.
Oh, fuck off.
Anyway, we'll see. The safety car comes in this lap. That was a short safety car. Okay, they're going to let this lot fight it out under green. And that means no one gets that safety car stop, which may or may not be a bad thing or a good thing. We'll find out. But the rain is coming down hard enough for it to be interesting. What do you reckon? 2, 3, 4 laps? You know, it might. I agree with you. It might take a while, this, but they should get there at some point. Let's see who's going to take a risk, who's going to struggle in these conditions. They were struggling enough for traction in the dry, but we've got a restart. Take it away.
Yeah, we'll see what Mike can do. He managed to catch Florian out last time. Doing a little bit better this time on that restart. Well within the realms of slipstream, but I think Mike's going to be well clear on the run down towards turn 1. But look out further behind. Danny Quinn will have the inside yet again. Down the run into turn 1, late on the brakes. Florian to the outside. Quinn's going to be later on the brakes. No contact between the pair of them. But watch out for Sully in P4. Keeping an eye on this battle up ahead. Seeing if he can pounce as he just catches a little slide on exit. The run down towards turn 4.
And of course, on the safety car, the way contact between Ben Hart and OKK. Just keeping an eye on that. I'm hoping there's no more safety cars here, really. But under safety car, you lose tire temp. You know this. I mean, it's very hard to get the tire temp on this game because you can't do the brake warming trick, which apparently is a real thing that drivers do, but you can't do it on this game anymore. It's why we run max pressures. Yeah, it's why we run max pressures now. It's the best way of getting tire temp, but under safety car, you just can't get any, especially on the hard. So that's going to make this extra difficult for this restart lap. So I'm very impressed no one's gone off with how difficult these conditions can be. So nicely done by the drivers.
Yeah, nice and tidy, nice and clean. He might have got a good restart last time, but he's in the box.
Ooh,
Here's Mike. Is that a chance to box for Inters? DRS has been enabled. It's all about being on the right side at the right time, isn't it, Owen?
Yeah, well, saying DRS enabled as you put intermediates on is hardly the best news in the world, is it? But we'll see if he can, MK1, just bet into this, really, and just see what comes to him. The guys at the front are fighting for the lead, so that could lose him some time.
Oh,
and they're on hards as well, which aren't going to be particularly good in these conditions anyway. As Risky there goes side by side with Robin, and that's for 3rd place at the moment. And with MK1 pitting, if it's the wrong tyre for a lap or two, this could become a real fight for 3rd, rather than a net 4th, as it would be under normal conditions. But as I head through the middle sector, guys on the mediums might be really struggling now, I would have thought, because this is degrading tyres. I mean, that S section must be utter torture for them. Just because they could be crawling through there. But again, just about Ben Hart there, keeping it all on the road. It's not easy out there. But I tell you what, Florian's handling the conditions quite well. He's making a big gap here to Quinn, which again I think is more bad news for Mike, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't think Quinn's got the pace in these conditions. He's got Robin right on his gearbox.
Boxing, leader boxing, and Quinn
and
Sully. So Robin is going to keep going. He's waiting for the DRS disabled notification, I'm guessing, which is the right call because MK Boy's lost about a second and a half in this lap. But a lot of guys are pitting for intermediates, including our Joker driver as OKK moves up to 2nd place ahead of Dustin. Now he can somewhat afford to stick this out, can OKK, because if he gets a safety car, he will get that safety car stopped. So that is really worth pointing out. That's probably why you're seeing other drivers like Baza or like Matt Lester definitely staying out, because they can afford to. If they get a safety car, happy days. Just don't be the one that causes it. MK Bourne's 3.2 seconds behind Florian, so yeah, I feel his interests are a bit too early, to be honest. It doesn't look that wet, does it?
It really doesn't. I don't really think there's a lot of spray either coming off the tyres. That really is a true indication if it is that wet. But as you mentioned, I think as you said, drivers that are going to benefit, Michael, Matt Lester, Baz is going to be okay to keep stretching these hards out until it does get wet enough. As running wide goes Daniel Price. He's on 17 lap old hards. Scott managed to get his tyres 20 laps. He might be able to go a little bit longer, but he's going to start falling down. Penalty, and in comes Michael. He thinks it's time. Dan as well. Is this the right call now? DRS is still enabled.
Yeah, this is not ideal as a condition, to be honest with you, because It's really hard to tell, but I'm not convinced the inters are ready yet. The track looks dry. I know there's rain falling, but that's the only indication that the track's getting wet. You know, the track itself doesn't look to have any differences to it, does it? I mean, you'd normally see a little bit of change in there, and the DRS disabled hasn't come up on screen, so it's hard to sort of call this the right decision. But Florian is catching Jake Warrior, so I don't know. He's at 1.5 down in the first sector. That would happen on inters regardless of whether they're quicker or not. But looking at Jake, he is struggling actually at the rear, isn't he? Robin seems happy out there, so let's see what lap time he posts. He's 6.6 seconds down in the middle sector. Maybe it is time then. If that's the case, then maybe it's time to pit, because that's way too slow. Even if DRS... Oh, he's off! Into the wall goes our race leader. It must be time then. It doesn't look right, the track, but well, putting it in the wall on dries and losing 6.5 seconds in the middle sector, it's as good a sign as any to not pit, but Baz is going to stay out. It's as good a sign as any to pit, I should say. But he's 9 seconds down. He'll lose the lead anyway on this lap if Florian is anywhere near quicker. He's about 2 seconds down on the lap time, so that or 2 seconds quicker than Baz, I should say. So that's the difference. Mike is catching a little bit onto Florian as well, so that fight for the lead, which is what this is, it is still going on. But yeah, Robin, after breaking his front wing there, he's down to 13th place. My goodness. And it'll get worse as well. It'll be 15th by the time he gets up to speed.
Oh, so, massive battle for the midfield. Sorry to interrupt you there. Michael, Dan, Quinn, all three of them battling out for currently 6th place. But Michael was a little bit later on the brakes. Down the inside into turn 1, clipped the rear end, nearly sent the pair of them spinning, and Quinn nearly picked up the pieces, but managing all of them to stay in the right direction. DRS now disabled. It's now time for inters. Bazza and Jake might regret not boxing at the end of the previous lap.
Bazza must have a safety car stop or something up his sleeve, because it's not really worth fighting this, is it? But as Jake moves out of the way there of Florian, but he's going to get caught in a couple of laps anyway, isn't he? So I suppose you might as well stick it out. But yeah, it's a gamble. It's a gamble. It's as simple as that. Yeah, he's pitting, unfortunately. So there it is. Bazza into the pits, and Jake will follow him. The whole field will be on intermediates, and they've all made their second stops. So that is the strategy's over. So any safety cars or anything like that, I wouldn't expect to see people changing tyres. It depends how late in the race it is, and if we possibly need to go to wets, I'd be very surprised if we did. It never really happens ever on this game, actually, where you need to go to wets. It's a bit like real life now, where the intermediates are just too fast. I mean, or the wets are just not enough of an advantage to sort of stomach a 30-second pit stop. So I think, yeah, that'll be everyone's last stops, bar crash damage in this race, which means our top 3 as it stands is Florian, Mike Kilborn, Ben Harrett.
Yeah, and Ben Harrett, fantastic recovery from him for having an incident at the end of pretty much the first couple of corners. No front wing, and having to wait to box at the end of lap 3. It was like 40-50 seconds off the lead, and he's now back in the podium positions. I don't think he's got the pace though to catch Mike or Florian. I'm looking for a Florian win at the moment, but everything I speak about is having a good time ends up in the wall.
Yes, so I mean, if they were crashing enough on the dries, I'd expect 1 or 2 in the wall, in the wet conditions. But let's see what happens. Surprise me, people. Let's have a nice clean race. But round the final corner, they all come. It's the closest battle at the moment is going to be OKK versus Daniel. Daniel, who must have made up a lot of places. Yeah, he's made up 7 places. Florian made up 6 himself, and Harry Collins made 11 actually. He's just made his 11th player now. So we have seen a good shaking up of the field here, and yeah. I think with Daniel, Ben, OKK going for the podium over the next few laps.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a...
that midfield battle still looking quite good, just to add to that conversation as well.
Yeah, You mentioned Michael. I was looking at the timing coming down. I was like, oh, he might make an overtake. I was watching the battle between Harry, Jacko, Dustin, and now Matt Lester's in on this as well. And as soon as I go away, Harry Collier overtook Jacko for P7. It's just fantastic commentary all around. Yellow flag, that's Matt Lester around, I believe. Sullivan takes advantage. Very short yellow flag. He's managed to recover it quite nicely. He's lost quite a few positions. Still in P11. That promotes Sully up to P10. Has he got a chance to get Dustin? Dustin hasn't got any benefit of slipstream of the drivers ahead, but they've got the pace over Jacko. Michael now side by side with Dan in the stadium section where the Mexicans will be flying their flags. And, oh, nice little switchback there from Michael. He's going to have the inside for the penultimate corner as we come around the swooping right-hander. That's technically the final corner to start lap 29. And it's Michael up ahead, but he might get pinched of 2 positions here. He's got 2 drivers behind in his slipstream.
Yeah, they've only lost 3 seconds to Ben Harrow in all this, so it's very much a fight for 4th now. As Quinn gets 2 cars in 1 straight, as you say, he was in there, he's made the move, and a bit of contact from OKK as he tries to switch back, and they may go side by side again down towards the next braking zone, and Jess has managed a speeding penalty. She also calls a yellow flag earlier on in the last lap, so not ideal for her there as she falls right to the back of the field.
Yes, she does indeed. Just having a little look, Sully has now managed to get by Dustin up to P9. Good move from him into the second sector. Has he got the pace now to not only get Jacko, but to claw his way up towards this little battle? Michael's got some superior grip on these tyres. He's all over the back of Quinn, and he's just pushing him through the S section. He needs to get that move done and just pull away from these guys. I feel like he's got the pace to challenge for a podium here, and with Quinn with that 3-second time penalty, is not going to benefit him.
I feel like the podium might be slightly gone because the way they're fighting at the minute, the fight will probably be finished by the end of this lap, but then he's got to catch 4 seconds now up to Ben Harrow, who's busy closing in on Mike for 2nd place. So unless they fight hard, maybe one of them picks up a penalty. That might be doing the way this fight turns into a podium fight. And look at that, MK4, or not MK4, so OKK, he can't get past, unfortunately. So yeah, I think 4th's the maximum he's going to be looking for. He's already got it, of course, doesn't have to pass Quinn to get that position. The rain is getting heavier, by the way. 7 laps to go. I know I said there's no chance of them going to wets, but the track could become more difficult because that is looking heavier to me.
I agree. It does look a lot wetter. Sullivan Lewis around the outside. He's going to have the inside for the next right-hander. He's going to keep the inside for the double right-hander coming up on Jacko. Nice and clean racing between the pair of them, but Jacko with the superior exit. That wide line is the racing line. He's going to have the inside into the S section. Does Jacko back out? No, was there contact between the two of them? I don't know whether there was. Oh, Sullivan really loose on exit, but holds position. Lets Dustin in this, and Jacko has come a cropper, lost 2 positions.
Oh my God. I can't believe Matt Lester hasn't ended up in the wall there. He had to really avoid Jacko, who's struggling so much for grip. These guys are suddenly crawling round. This is very tricky conditions, and Jacko, similar to how it was in Spa for him in the Cup Series, when it gets a bit wetter, he really just he struggles. And yeah, it's good they're keeping it on track, but they're all losing the rear end out of the corners. Incredibly difficult conditions. Everyone I look at is just sideways. Look at this now, down towards turn 1 as well. You're going to have Matt Lester, you're going to have Jacko, you're going to have Baza 3 wide, and that's a potentially tricky position when all 3 of them are sideways into the corner. Not helping the rear sides at all by doing that. And yeah, 6 to go. I mean, it is getting more difficult out there.
It is indeed. Jacko really not good on traction, and he might lose a position to Robin on those fresher tyres. He's going to have the outside, which turns to the inside, and just as Sully did. But will they become a cropper in the next double right-hander? I think Robin's going to have the position, and Jacko's going to have to let it go.
And there's really nothing more frustrating in this moment than just succumbing to the conditions, you know. because every corner it just gets worse on these inters. When you lose that rear end for the first time, it's that's it. You're finished. The rears are gonna keep doing that now to the end, and if the rain gets heavier, you're only gonna struggle and suffer more. And then Jacko now he's 13th. He was fighting well up in the top 10, and yeah, sadly, it's like his tires hit an early cliff.
They have indeed. But Jacko doesn't really need to worry too much. He is going to need to worry a little bit come the playoffs. He doesn't sit that well on playoff points. He has only got 1 playoff point to his name, does Jacko. So that's not going to benefit him a lot. Here comes towards turn 1. We've got Robin, we've got Bazza, and we've got Matt Lester fighting down towards turn 1. Hold position just for now. But I think this race has come out alive a little bit with these changeable conditions, especially for Robin. It is a little bit loose, but he seems to have the pace.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm trying to just see what else is really going on. OKK's pace, sadly, has completely sort of disappeared, hasn't it? We were looking at him getting by Quinn. I think he's accepted 4th place there. Because I think he'll also have seen what we've seen about Ben Harrett catching Mike. That's going to have 4 laps to go.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, it was Robin really loose at the exit of the double right-hander. He's managed to keep it facing the right way, but I was just complimenting him. He's losing the back end, left, right and centre through these sections. Oh, 3-second penalty for Mike Kelterborn. It's going to knock him off 2nd place, but I don't think it's going to do him any damage for the podium. He might still finish 3rd, because with this battle in between Quinn and Michael, I think it's going to be safe to secure not only another playoff point, but another podium.
Yeah, that's a shame, isn't it, to see, penalties affecting things up there in the top 3. Because Ben can just sort of switch off now. Effectively, he can switch off now. He doesn't have to worry anymore. If I'm Mike, start using the ZRS that you've got. You're in the wet, you can save a hell of a lot more. And you've got a massive green bar to use. So start using it, because you've got 70% ERS, you've got to make 1.2 seconds in the next couple of laps. So start. Bazza is still on the back of Matt Lester, and he's alongside. And I suppose the later stop for the inters, I mean, it means he's got the freshest tyres out there, doesn't it? But if he can get a top 10 finish, he's already got one, thanks to the penalties, but if he can get it on track, he'll be quite pleased.
He'd like to, I'd say. He had a nice run down towards turn 1, did Bazza. He did try and go around the outside of Matt Lester. There was a little bit of a wheel bang between his front and Matt Lester's rear, but they seem to be holding position now. Just got to keep an eye out on Robin. He might be able to take both of them. He'll be able to take Matt Lester due to the penalty, but I think he wants to get Bazza. He's got a nice run into the stadium section. He's going to have the outside line into this right-hander. Contact between the pair of them, and I believe that's Bazza round.
And reversing almost into Jacko there as well. That's a shame. They've been fighting so well, and just to have contact like that on the way into the stadium, and that's going to wreck Bazza's tyres as well. And I'm going to assume Jake had to let him through there, because he passed under the yellow flag that Bazza had caused, which is a bit of a silly reason not to lose a position, but okay. Speaking of which, OKK has got a 3-second penalty, which means, Daniel, if you can just just stay where you are. In fact, if you gain half a second, top 4 in this for him. So that'll be his task for the last couple of laps of this race. Free to go at the moment. The track is fairly saturated, but I don't see it getting much worse than this now. The rain seems to have got a little bit lighter, and it should be drivable to the finish now.
Yeah, I don't expect any more pit stops. Even if the conditions change like that, it can happen. I seriously doubt anybody will be planning to box for a set of soft tyres. It's not the shortest pit lane around Mexico.
Oh, KK's into the back of Quinn. Sorry to interrupt. There was a very late movement there from Quinn. And so KK, who knows, he's not going to make the move on Quinn because, well, the penalties, they're equal. He's got to pass on track now, but that nearly ended up being an airplane crash.
And you mentioned that Dan needed to make up half a second. He's well within Michael's 3 seconds, and he's within Danny Quinn's. If these two keep battling, he's going to be picking up the pieces of these two battling for what would have been 4th place. Another penalty for Scott. He's had a terrible day on his Joker. Tried to stretch those hars out to the end, but just didn't really have the pace on the run down towards turn 1 then. Michael still stuck behind him. If he wants that position, he's going to, as you said, he's going to have to get it done on track.
Elsewhere, Mike is making a very good gap on Ben Howard. 2.9 seconds. He's almost confirming 2nd place for himself there. And he now has. He still has a lot more ERS as well than him, so I'd expect Mike could keep extending the gap out and get that 2nd place, which is good news for him, of course. Elsewhere though, KK, he's lost nearly a second here to Quinn. Possibly the clean air will help him out a little bit. He's saving his ERS. He was on practically 0 here. He's going to absolutely send it down towards turn 1. Fantastic. That's what we like to see.
Yeah, we do indeed. He did burn a little bit of overtake on the exit of the middle sector. He's got about the same as Danny Quinn. But what Michael has and what Quinn doesn't have is the benefit of slipstream. I think what Michael needs to focus on now is the exit of the final corner. 1 lap to go here in Mexico. If it wasn't for that 3-second time penalty, MK Bourne's really closed that gap down to Florian, but I think Florian is just bringing it down to the finish. But here we go then. Last chance pretty much for Michael down towards turn 1. He's got the slipstream, but it doesn't really have the straight line speed. Quinn's going to hold on for now, but it could get a little bit scrappy. With it being the final lap, you can get your elbows out a little bit more. Michael knows this. Michael should know this. He's been in Jackocar as one of the longest times. Here's see what he can do. It's 4 P4. They've managed to pull that 3-second back out to Dan, so he might not even get either of them with those penalties. We'll see what happens. Only a couple of sectors to go.
I think Quinn's holding on quite well here. OKK, he's trying to like set up, switchbacks and stuff, but he just doesn't seem to have the grip for it. I'll say it. Look at that for the S. It's a good run. It's a very good run, and he's got the ERS. Hello, here we go. But no, he loses on the curb. Oh, he nearly had that, and it might cost him the position to Daniel as well. But keep an eye on the gap. But up at the front, we've got a race leader about to cross the line.
We do indeed. For the first time in Jackocar Season 8, we've got another new winner. Our 5th race winner of the season in 7 races. It's Florian Meyer to the line to win. He's through to the playoffs. Mike, Willie.
Daniel will get them.
Tough.
Podium position. Ben Harriet up on the podium. Dan, with that little bit of issues between Quinn and Michael, has managed to jump them both up to P4. Danny hangs on to P5, Michael P6, Harry to P7, Dustin P8, Sully P9, Robbins P10, Matt Lester P11, and then it'll be Bazza to finish P12 with Jake Warrior just behind him, and then the lowly Jacko in 14th. Scott, he was on the Joker, didn't make it work today. I don't think the weather helped him out here. I think if the rain came a little bit earlier, it might have helped him a little bit more. He's going to finish 15th. And our final finisher is going to be Jess. She made an extra pit stop onto another set of inters, probably for a change of front wing. She's going to finish in 16th place. And I love it when I don't say a word and it activates voice activation on this console and it just cuts me out. But yeah, Jess, final finisher. 3 DNFs. That's Yuri, Jamie, and I forgot the other one. Who was the other one? Matt Shepherd. 3 DNFs, which is actually very good to see drivers keeping it on track for this final season here in the Kia Series.
It's a shame, really, that the race actually wasn't like, let's say, another 5 or 6 laps longer, because the rain had completely stopped and the track was about 2 laps away from being ready for slicks again at the end. But they all got to the end on those intermediates. So we had that short spell of 2 or 3 laps where the rain really picked up. But they all did well there to survive that, and a well-deserving podium. Florian, I said earlier on I was rooting for him to beat the Cup Series guys, so it was nice to see him do it. With obviously Mike in second and Ben Hart third. Good recovery from Ben. Having been right at the back, having been in the wall earlier on with Yuri. I wonder if there'll be a steward's inquiry about that. I'd hope not. I hope they're all adults here. Get over it. And yeah, we'll come back next week, go again. Shout out to Daniel, like we say. Um, there's no luck involved. He didn't get any penalties. The guys in front of him got it wrong at the end. He took advantage. He's kept it clean. He's got a P4 out of it. I think he'll be very pleased with that. And then you got, say, Quinn. Not too bad. Got his elbows out. Okay, likewise. Harry Collier, fastest lap. P18 up to P7. Good stuff. Fozzie Bear. Not Dustin. Who's that? Fozzie
It is
Bear.
Dustin.
Who cares?
It's Dustin.
Is that Dustin?
It is Dustin.
I knew I was right, wrong. But he's gone 17th to 8th as well. So a lot of good performances in there, actually. While we were focusing on the guys at the front, good stuff. And nice to see. A lot of clean fighting as well. Very un-Kia-like. Very odd. Don't know how I feel about it. Don't know how Gareth feels about it. This is possibly why he's going insane. He's gone for the football instead of this because it's getting too good for him to make fun of.
He's loving it, really. He loved last week in Brazil. But there we are then for the seventh round of the Kia Series, the Mexican Grand Prix. Congratulations to our podium sitters. Congratulations to Florian. He's through to the playoffs. He was only 1 point off the cutoff line. He's now advanced to the playoffs. We keep this America's run rolling. We're heading off to Miami next week for the Miami Grand Prix. After that, we will have COTA, and then we round off the Americas in Vegas and round off the regular season, funnily enough, before we head to Monza, the Netherlands, Australia, San Marino, Silverstone, Singapore, and don't forget the Championship 5 race at the Super Speedway. I look forward to that. But thank you, Owen, for joining me in the commentary box. It's been a pleasure commentating with you. First one, and definitely not the last one. Maybe Gareth will be back next week. I might just ditch him off and get you in. Who knows?
We'll get the three of us in for the Championship 5. We'll call that a nice compromise. But yeah, thanks for having me. Great fun being back in the Kia series, which is must be what the fourth or fifth different season I've commentated in now. So I'm getting myself around the tears and getting my voice just ingrained in everyone's brain. So yeah, you can see me on Thursday on track. You can see me racing against Pete, if you're lucky.
Yeah,
in
screw
Portugal.
you. You'll be a long way ahead of me. Who wants to talk about that? But yeah, don't forget to tune in live on Thursday, where Jackocar Cup Series is back for the Portuguese Grand Prix. Only 3 rounds to go in the Cup Series before we enter the playoff season. It'll be Portugal, Qatar, and as always, the round of 10 tends to start in mid-October. Plenty of places still up for grabs in the Cup Series players. Plenty of places still up for grabs in the Kia Series. Be sure to join me and maybe Gareth Hall next week. And thank you again, Owen. Any more final words?
Nothing really. I think it was a good
thank
race.
you.
Glad to be here. That's it.
Yeah, cheers. Be sure to keep an eye on if you want to join Jacko Ball Wednesday nights. It's absolute fun. We're currently finishing off the Bundesliga. We'll be starting the championship. There's a couple of spaces left open. If you want to get involved, be sure to, I would probably recommend DMing the Jackocar Twitter account. Gareth Hall is running that show if you want to directly DM him as well to get involved on a Wednesday night. But thank you all for watching, and that's it from me.